As we see, Obscure Lifeform representing the Noble Foxes clearing out the Blinds hut here in Kakariko Village. You said TSO is pronounced how?
To show?
To show, okay. Perfect. So to show here, picking up their blind shed. Not going to find too much progression.
But loads of cash, so, Bob Vander, big chunk of Sora money already. And Sora also is already logic with that glove, of course.
As we see Obscure Lifeform here in Kakariko Well, and he finds a mirror and some powder. That's very interesting. I wonder who was hanging out in the well today that had some mirror and a powder. As we see Bottle Vendor have a flute.
That's very convenient. Yeah, we just have to walk over there.
It's a hop, skip, and a jump over to get our Space Quacken, which will allow convenient travel all over the map, anywhere you want to go, as long as there is a big giant number associated to it.
We also got a map check earlier on with Tso15 being a pendant, the other two dungeons being crystals, respectively.
As we see Tso going to pick up their flute as Obscure Lifeforms going to hit our chicken hut. Not going to be throwing a chicken into a wall. You need to do it, though. That
chicken clip can actually soft block you, so you don't want to do that in an actually serious race.
Yeah, I was watching a raid last week where somebody soft lock doing the chicken clip. As we see behind in the tavern, exactly what will be in what is the vanilla bottle chest. It's just a couple of bombs.
Yeah, getting if we would have gotten a bottle here, it would have been really convenient, because then we could have just said goodbye forever to Kakariko, unless we had to take the Dark Portal. Alas, no bottles.
As we see a single green rupee here on the library shelf. No need to come back for that.
Yeah, the boots are not going to be required for that, at least.
As we get a peek inside what is in Race Game, just a piece of heart. We're going to flute over to the dam area. Oh, no, Obscure Lifeform's going to check Gina and head over to the dam from there. Clever routing there from Obscure Lifeform. Gina is one of those checks you either do first or you do last.
Yeah, it is Sphere 1, and it can hold many, many secrets and valuable treasure, but most of the time it doesn't, but if it does, it's going to come back to bite you.
Especially if the seed happens to be an Aga seed, but we don't want that on our runners.
Well, at least not today. And Tso is, in fact, fluting over to the dam area already.
So we saw just a Nagina piece of heart as we find Bombos in the dam chest, and we're going to pull a lever here, get some water out of here, and see what's outside.
Yeah, with the mirror, we can do this in one swoop. We don't even need to come back in here.
Yeah, as you saw him use the tile glitch. That's all of our medallions, so we're not going to be any medallion locked here today. That's beautiful.
Oh, man. Barely over 10 minutes and we already got all 3 medallions.
We got all the bling all around our neck with those medallions.
Yeah, lots of coin collectors here in Hyrule, I guess.
As we head into Mini Moldorm Cave here for Tso. Kill 4 little mini moldy boys, get yourself 5 little checks. Probably heading over to Ice Palace with that flute or Ice Rod Cave with that flute afterward.
Well, I guess it depends on what we find here. Cane of Somaria.
Obscure Lifeform using bomb strats on the mini Moldorms can be a little bit more efficient than the sword strats. Luckily enough, able to clean it out with a bomb left over.
Yeah, Cane of Somaria is, of course, an item we're most likely going to need. But, it's not going to help us right now, basically. So, it's one of those items, you're happy to have it, but you'd rather find something, more progression oriented first.
With how Ambrosia's been so far this week, I will find it hilarious if we do not need any of those medallions or Red Cane.
Oh yeah, I mean, we already have one of the pendants in the light world here. The likelihood that both Mire and Charter Rock being not a crystal is very low, I would say. And with that flute, Tso is going to take on to Death Mountain here.
They do have full Hera access. Unfortunately, they can't full clear it without a fire source, but
Yeah.
we can give a little peek inside, maybe give it a full clear.
Looks like we have some divergence here, though, because ObscureLifeForm is opting to check Sahasra.
So if you're unfamiliar with the Ambrosia setting here on Link to the Past Randomizer, it does a few things differently. It's a standard start for you, so you have to go save Princess Zelda. Your uncle gives you a hint as to where the boots are at, and you are sword assured. But the biggest thing that it does is all bosses have at least one item on them. If you happen to find it with the green pendant, that's 2. So we know if he dips Sierra here and there's an item in that first spot, he can go right to the boss and clear it, should they be able to find Big Key or do the Hera Pot clip.
And looks like ObscureLifeForm is going to take that mushroom that they found in Sahasra's closet right to the witch.
And as Tso's checking out Spectacle Cave, we see that hook shot right there up on top. That's going to allow us to get access to East Death Mountain right after we go ahead and check Hera.
And we have a green pendant on Pod, which is a bit unfortunate because that's where the boots are. We have a red pendant, I think it was in Swamp Palace. And
our
5-6...
Our red crystals were in Mire and Skullwoods.
Yeah.
So, actually, a green pendant pod is not a bad dip. That's 5 items in the dungeon, 4 throughout it, 1 on Helmosaur, and then you have that additional check with the green pendant. And with Sasra's Closet being right there for you, it's a nice, easy turn-in real quick for you.
Sure, but still, you don't want to go in a pendant dungeon. I mean, it had to be a pendant, right? Because the boots are in there.
So I'm looking at this pendant layout, and I'm seeing what items we have. We're a hammer away from being able to fully clear Swamp Palace once we find that moon pearl. Oh yeah, and the flips. As we see ObscureLifeForm making their climb up Death Mountain, going to find that hook shot in a very convenient spot for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, unless they find a hammer here in Tower of Hera, they can just jump down the ledge. And, well, there's a Master Sword. The other item is guaranteed to be in Moldorm, so that's why Tso is skipping this chest here. But yeah, they can just jump off the ledge there and then walk over to the broken bridge, hook over to the east side.
That's why that was an ultra-convenient spot to have your hook shot.
Yeah, it's also a pretty convenient spot for the Master Sword, because that means we don't have to do Fighter Sword Moldorm, which, you know, it's not a bad boss fighter, but it can be a bit annoying.
What is it, 5 spins with Fighter Sword?
Sounds about right?
Versus this is only going to be 4 spins with Mister? Or 3?
3.
As we find just a piece of heart and a blue pendant here on Moldorm. We won't have to come back here into the Tower of Hera at all. As we get our first dungeon clear.
And Oro here, our tracker, shoutouts to Oro for keeping track very nicely of all the items and stuff for us, informing us that it is 6 hits, because the spins and the slashes are the same damage.
That's right.
Yeah, I thought it was an even number, but I wasn't sure, so, yeah.
We see ObscureLifeForm picking up their Master Sword, gonna head straight to Moldorm, pick up that pendant and that piece of heart as we're hitting the Paradox Cave.
Yeah, this is, of course, 7 checks. Ooh, well, we're a Moon Pearl away from Dark World access, at least the conditional Dark World access, because the mitts are here in the 2 chest room.
As we have a Moldy down here in the Tower of Hera for ObscureLifeForm.
And there is the Moon Pearl, as well as 2 bottles for to show here in the 5 chest room. So we are able to access the western part of the Dark World now. So far, the eastern part is still closed off to us because we do need the flippers or the hammer for that. Unless we do a splash deletion, I guess.
As we get a peek as to what's on the floating island, it's just a big old pack of bombs. To show where, yeah, I was just saying, you need a hammer for that, buddy.
We realized it in the middle of the way there.
But they're gonna be able to hit Darkside Death Mountain after making this climb down Spiral Cave.
Yeah, that is true. And chat actually pointing out a very good point. We can actually full clear Mire now, not fully in logic because, you know, the dark rooms, but, you know, most runners will be able to do the dark rooms anyway.
That'd be tough. It'd be a tough dungeon to clear at this point, but...
Yeah, I'm not familiar with, or I'm not sure how familiar Tso is with dark rooms, but I've seen ObscureLifeForm do a few of them. Not sure if I've ever seen them do the Mire ones, though.
The only real tough one in Mire is that first room with the fire spitters and the switch. The other ones are pretty easy to avoid taking any damage, but it's still a little bit of a challenge to do. As we get a peek here into Super Bunny Cave as to show going through that Dark World portal at the bottom of Eastern Death Mountain. Looking like they're going to set up a hookshot clip. Even though they do have mirror. Oof, missing it.
Did not get it, yeah. Yeah, that one is actually pretty tricky to get.
Yeah, it's a pixel-perfect clip. You have to be slightly to the left of the dead center of the tile for it to clip through. Honestly, you only lose, what, 4 or 5 seconds making that transition back up to the top?
Yeah. And we got the double big 20 here in Super Bunny Cave. So we're going to see what Hookshot has for us. And we do not have the hammer, so we can't do Spike Cave.
But we will be able to see what Turtle Rock is, even though we have all 3 medallions. So I'm wondering if someone's going to go take a peek.
Yeah, no. Why would you?
The show went, and he was like, oh yeah, I've got 3 medallions.
Yeah. Because, yeah, it was like the muscle memory setting in there.
I would have gotten about halfway past Hookshot Cave and said, oh yeah, I've got all 3 medallions, what am I doing?
And sadly, Hookshot Cave also completely empty. Dark Death Mountain being barren, so to speak.
That gives us a lot of cash with rupees for Zora. ObscureLifeForm's going to be able to loop that in with the mushroom, or should they be able to get the Eastside Dark World access, loop that in with Mirror and Catfish?
Actually, ObscureLifeForm did deliver the mushroom.
Okay, that's right.
Yeah, it was like pulled out the mushroom from Sahassal's closet and flew it straight to 2. And we're gonna get our first checks here in the Dark World, the Village of Outcasts. Tso opting to not dip into Skullwoods just yet. It doesn't have the fire rod.
Yeah, with only 1 item in the front of Skullwoods.
Oh!
There's our hammer! So we're going to be able to do a full clear of Thieves Town should an item be on the big chest. And that will be able to give us our Smith's checks routing all nice in one go. pretty linear seed so far with progression.
Well, I guess the show is happy to find this because it's the shovel, and as I guess for to show this is go mode. True go mode. All right, so we're gonna see the sea house here. Oh well, there's our flipper. So we do have now access to East Dark World.
Yeah, and that puts Swamp Palace dip in logic if you were going to go do South Shore and the Dark World after this.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a bad play, but being that pendant, it's a difficult call to make. I would be more likely to go do Pod first, since you know where the boots are. They're in Pod. Then maybe leave Swamp Palace as a last location to check.
I don't know. I mean, Swamp Palace is a pendant dungeon, so it's not very attractive, even though it has a lot of items in it.
So yeah, I would... Because you do have access to Desert Palace with the mirror and the Titan's mitts, you would just hope that it's not boots locked, but you know where the boots are. So I may, after doing Thieves Town and doing Smith, I would do probably Pod to find that boots location.
Well, we have a lamp here in the Mire Shed and the shield. So this is our first fire source.
And that's going to open up Mire for a full clear, actually.
Yep. Yeah, now we have a fire source for the torches on the left side and a light source for the dark rooms. So logically speaking, we are fully able to complete the dungeon.
And it also opens up the possibility of once getting those boots for Obscure Lifeform doing Desert. So that's a little bit of a head gain there for Obscure Lifeform when it comes to dungeon completion and not having to deal with any dark rooms. Let's see where Obscure Lifeform is. Looks like, ooh, yeah, you don't have any hammer there, Obscure.
Yeah. Obscure Lifeform forgetting that they don't have to hammer much like you showed it earlier on Death Mountain, so, you know.
We've all done
happens.
it. Yep,
Yeah.
We've all done it. Nice use of powder there on the anti-fairy to get yourself a nice heal. You do have Hookshot to deal with the crickets up here in the top level of Thieves Town. Master Sword takes 2 swings with them, I think. Versus a Hookshot is an instant kill for you for the crickets.
Yeah, I don't know how many sword swings that would be, but I know they take a few at least. But Hookshot, of course, is, as you say, an instant kill, so you can. But Dushel just opts to dodge him, which is, you know, fair.
Obscure Lifeform doing the dip into Skullwoods finds the cape in the first check he opens on the right-hand side of the front.
Oh, useful.
So we're gonna loop in Bumper Cave here with probably a Graveyard Ledge check. Unfortunately, Obscure Lifeform not going into the Dark Village first, where he could have found the hammers and flips, but I'm assuming right after checking Graveyard Ledge, he's going to head that way.
Mm-hmm. There is a small key. I'm not sure if we found all the dungeon items so far.
I think there's one more left.
Well, we'll see if Tso is walking over to the chest, so.
We'll see here with the hammer. Nope, we found all the dungeon items, so yeah, knew there was an item over here. Knows there's an item on the boss. Well worth the check. As it looks like Graveyard Ledge came up a little empty. Obscure, are you gonna fake flip? You don't have flippers, bud.
I think Obscure Lifeform is trying to current jump here.
Yep. There we go. Nice little manipulation there. going over into Pod, probably to go get those boots.
Yeah.
After doing Catfish and probably Zora, maybe. A nice script fight here from Tso on Blind. If you do the same exact thing every single time, Blind will do the same exact thing every single time, and you won't take a single hit.
Unless you die, in which case the pattern is changed. Catfish just with some groups. ObscureLifeForm opting to not route Zora in here. This actually makes a lot of sense because otherwise, you can't get the ledge item, you can't get Waterfall Fairy, so...
Yeah, you're only walking over there to make a check, and if it happens to be, I don't know, Ice Rod on that ledge, you're gonna have to come back anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I assume we're gonna see a Pyramid Ledge check as well, and then ObscureLifeForm is gonna go into Pod and pick up those boots. And funnily enough, Tso is not going to be far behind while finding a Tempered Sword here in the digging game.
Tso going to check out K45. Stumpy, turn in that shovel check. Do all of the smith routing with it as well, since he does have a hammer. He's got powder. This is super easy, great routing for yourself. Anytime you get a rando seed like this, you got a big stupid grin on your face.
Yeah, Tso is opting to do the smith chain first with a mirror and a flute, not too bad. There is a blue mail here on the Pyramid Ledge, so that was actually kind of worth going over for, because that means you're protected against those high damage Dark World enemies. And we're not going to need to Death Warp either because we have the mirror, so...
As we see hammer pegs being opened up by Tso, he's got a froggy friend with him. We're going to turn him in a second and see what they craft with us with their baking of bread.
Yeah, the baguette smiths might hold value or nothing. In the meantime, ObscureLifeForm is going to pick up Kiki for those 100 rupees. Actually, you pick him up for 10 rupees and then have to pay 100 rupees to open the door. Just some money laundering operation going on over here in the dwarf's house.
That's not even good quality money laundering either. And so we're going to see what's in the magic batter from his blood fountain of death from underneath these smiths. Makes you wonder what their bread's made out of.
Well, this is actually the red paint they use for their red rupees.
Ah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. That's also why there's a bunch of rupees down here. It's the leftovers. And ObscureLifeForm finds out that Pod is logically bow-locked as they find an item here. Is probably going to do the potion glitch or maybe the mimic clip.
Yeah, knowing that boots are in here and that's going to speed up your seed a whole bunch, it makes total sense. Just unfortunate that even though you're going to be doing this potion glitch, unless you find small keys here, which is a high probability, if you don't...
Well, you're going to find at least one small key here because you already found one of the 2 dungeon items that can be in the front. Mm-hmm. Of the 6 locations, 4 have to be small keys. So if you find one, there can only be one more, and you're guaranteed to find a key here. So ObscureLifeForm, as mentioned, brings the potion glitch here, so can pull those mimics off screen, and the game thinks off screen means dead, so it opens the door, even though they come back on screen.
As we see Tso with a lunchbox following behind him, going to be checking out K45 here, hitting Stumpy, hitting that shovel, and returning the lunch to the hardworking locksmith in the light world.
That locksmith used to be in Blind's gang. That said, we find a book here in the K45.
And now you can loop in that that tablet over near Desert Palace as well.
Yeah. Yeah, Bombo's tablet is now... And yeah, that's basically on the way, You hand in the lock, you hand in the box, and then you move over and get back to the Dark World and can get the Bombos tablet here.
Yeah, this is just about as perfect routing as you could ever want for a Smith route. Unfortunately, outside of that book has come up a little bit of a bust. Since we do already have access to Desert Palace from the Mirror and Meyer portal.
Yeah. ObscureLifeForm finding the boots here in the Harmless Hellway also routed this very smartly, knowing that the remaining, because he found another item, ObscureLifeForm knew that the rest of the chests in the front of Pod are keys. And since you can't complete the dungeon anyway, may as well just, use up all those keys. Can pick up one on the way back to, if you need the Green Pendant, that is, back to Helmasaur.
As we see, Tso hitting Hype Cave, finds a red meringue, finds a couple of pair of rupees, red ones specifically. He found 4 of them. So, Hype Cave was all red, with a boomerang and rupees.
And there is the last item we can get out of Pod so far on ObscureLifeForm's side. Was a heart container. So we do know there is one item left on the boss. And ObscureLifeForm is floating away. He's not dipping east. Which is a fair play.
Yeah, since you only have 2 items in the front of Eastern anyway, and you're going to have to come back to complete it for your Crystal and your Sands of Bow at the moment.
Yeah, so ObscureLifeForm using the opportunity to quickly stock up on a few potions again. Not that they use them for the potion ledge. And
so,
I think...
to show over here, getting the tablet, do you go and check Desert, or do you run the play of doing a Swamp Palace dip?
I mean, Tso can't... Well, I literally was about to say Tso doesn't have a fire source, so he can't complete Desert. But there's a fire rod on Bombos. So. Oops. I mean, you can look into it and see if its boots locked. Because then you know where you have to go next for clearing Desert Palace.
Then if it happens to be boots locked, you go right over to Pod. It'll be easy for Tso with that hammer and flute. I'm going to be able to use that number 5 portal.
Right, so when ObscureLifeForm is opting to dip into Misery Mire, I think part of that is that was part of why they picked up those potions, safeties for this dungeon, and particularly for Vitreous.
Yeah, Vitreous is not fun with only a Master Sword and trying to throw bombs at him. They do have Cape and the blue cane, the Cane of Burna, so you do have a couple different ways to make sure you don't take too much damage, but it's still a tough fight. Those eyeballs have a lot of health to them. And
Tso is going into Desert Palace here. Is probably going to go make a beeline for that torch room to see if it's boots locked.
Still not sure quite yet.
Yeah, we don't know. It is.
All right.
The big key is going to be on the right wing of the palace here, so we're gonna have to come back with boots. And so something that Chad just pointed out that is actually very interesting: we're a boat and an ice rod away from Goemon.
We are. It'd be interesting where we find that bow and ice rod. We do have a whole bunch of full clearable dungeons left.
And a whole bunch of overworld checks, too. So, that ice rod can be basically anywhere that isn't Trinix or Ganon Sour.
Yeah, because we have yet to do the Light World flips checks, as it looks as though ObscureLifeForm has found the big key. Going to go over here and check the small chest and big key chest before they have to do the cutscene chests.
Yeah, looking for that one item that we know is in the front side here before actually going to the cutscene chest. I think that's very smart.
Yeah, 2 versus 1, and that cutscene takes a good 15 seconds to get through.
And the item was in the big chest, so ObscureLifeForm can now go straight for the boss. And Tso also is going to go into Mire here. It's going to have a bit of an easier time with Tempered Sword on Vitreous, of course.
Unfortunately, Tso doesn't have that cape, so Blue Cane and Tempered Sword is still a decent strat. You're just hoping that you swing faster than what the little ball of energy goes around you with the cane.
Could also maybe go for like NMG strats where you like walk into the goo and just slash away.
Yeah, with 8 hearts and green mail, oof, that's tough. Tso finding his big key. Looks like they're going to take the southern route to go over. Oof, taking an anti-fairy body there. As we see ObscureLifeForm enter in the second to last room before our Vitreous fight.
The 10 ultimate room, as it were.
Looks like we're gonna go for cane or spin strats with the cape.
Yeah.
Oof, only able to get 1 spin off. Oof.
Yeah, but did manage to get a slash in on Vitreous here. He's going to use one of those blue potions. That's why ObscureLifeForm brought the blue potion in the first place.
Yep.
Because, you know, you can refill your magic and continue slashing away at those. Yeah, and then now it's just wailing away at Vitreous.
As we see Tso pick up that piece of heart from the chest, knows he needs no more chests in Misery Mire, going to head straight for that Vitreous fight.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of slashes with Master Sword. But Vitreous is down for ObscureLifeForm here. Getting their first crystal.
Vitreous being one of the only enemy which silvers do work on that takes more than 1 silver to kill outside of Ganon.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
So you can't use silvers on Mothula, you can't use silvers on Cold Stare, and I think that's about... And Moldorm. Those are the only ones. Yes, and Blind.
And Trinix. A lot of bosses that are immune to arrows.
Which is weird, because that is essentially the best weapon in the game. That's why we're lucky enough to have swords with us as well. Or a hammer.
And since ObscureLifeForm picked up those boots out of Pod, they can actually clear Desert Palace while they're already here.
Yeah, that's nice routing there. Both runners able to find progression and crystal completions through their routing. Just so happens to show, found a few more items in the item density in the Village of Outcasts. But I'm sure ObscureLifeForm is going to be right there afterward, completing Desert Palace.
Yeah, I'm sure. There's like not really much more left for ObscureLifeForm to potentially be doing after this. Without flippers, without hammer, fire rod, or bow, you know, none of the options really are appealing as well.
Yeah, we'll probably see Tso do his flippers checks after Vitreous. The question is, do you loop an Ice Palace with it, or do you risk that Swamp Dip?
Well, personally, I would actually start with getting those boots out of Pod, and then, because I know that Desert Palace, like, Tso knows that Desert Palace is boot slot, so you have to go there anyway.
And that would speed up any possible dungeons you would have to complete after you do get those boots,
yep.
Which is nice and convenient for you. We like to go fast here.
This is a race, after all.
As we see ObscureLifeForm progressing on through the backside of Desert Palace. Going to find some Lamolas.
There we go.
A little bit of an easier fight here for ObscureLifeForm with the Master Sword. No Fire Rod or Silver Strats today for Lamolas for him, so it'll take a couple cycles to go through. As we see Tso going to pick up their mushroom from Agina.
The mushroom wasn't Sahasala. Wrong old
Oh, that's
man.
right. That's right. This is a piece of heart.
Yeah.
It's the beard. They both wear green. You know, they're very secluded in the world. If you talk to them, they tell you a story.
Yeah. That said, ObscureLifeForm picks up Desert Crystal.
So we're all even with crystals at the moment, with ObscureLifeForm having Desert Palace and Tso having his Thieves Town crystal. And Tso here doing his flippers checks. Actually not too terribly bad routing. You know there's 4 possible items here for you that give you 5 possible items that give you progression.
It's funny because ObscureLifeForm also is doing the flipper checks now. Just fake flippering instead.
As we see what we have underneath the bridge with the friendly hobo.
Well, there's a bloomerang here in the waterfall of wishing, and a free potion refill, green goo.
Our hobo was very generous. He decided to be charitable and give us some cash.
Well, you can define generosity there.
And we saw nothing important there on the Zora Ledge. As we see what one of our friendly fish friends have for us today.
Scamfish. That's 50 rupees per arrow. Is this retro? Is this like... Alright, well, ObscureLifeForm is walking back, so it's not gonna save and quit, but rather... Oh, it's gonna make the hobo check as well. May as well, you know, at this point. And welcome to the Raiders from Speed Gaming 3. To this Link to the Past Randomizer League Season 2 match between Tso of Shovel is Trugo Mode and ObscureLifeForm of Team Noble Foxes.
If you're just joining us, the real deviation here between our two runners was Tso decided to do his Dark Village checks first, completed Thieves Town. He was able to find hammer and flips inside the Dark Village, which allowed him to do all of the smith checks, which netted him a fire rod and a book. As we see ObscureLifeForm heading into the Dark Village here.
Yeah, so ObscureLifeForm is gonna get at least their hammer fairly soon, which was in the digging game.
And flips, which was in C-shaped house.
Yeah.
And
the shovel, of course.
Yep. As we see Tso heading into Pod to go get their boots. Pod is a full clearable dungeon with that green pendant for him. We'll see how far he goes if he should decide to do the mimics outside of Helmasaur.
Yeah. Also, sorry, I misspoke. It was Tempered Sword that wasn't digging game, with the hammer in the chess game. I got the mini games mixed up there. My bad.
Yeah. Our friend down to the south that allows you to dig holes has a sword for us.
Yep. And his backup shovel here in the brewery.
As we see Tso heading into Sasra's closet, going to be picking up a mushroom here. And we see ObscureLifeForm get their flippers, putting all of those flippers checks back into logic.
Yep.
So we see a first chest in Thieves Town, being the big key for ObscureLifeForm.
Yeah, we do know that there was nothing really too big of value here in Thieves Town. The fire rod was on Bomb's tablet, and
The book in
K45. Yeah, that was the only items that Tso has now, outside of that tempered sword that we talked about earlier. That ObscureLifeForm does not. So,
since we did logically break the Palace of Darkness to get our boots, there's a bow out there somewhere in logic.
Yeah, and that can be. I mean, so far those boots haven't locked anything. So all of these items that we found so far, that open a variety of items on checks. So we can do Swamp Palace. We can do Skullwoods. We can do Ice Palace.
Neither of our players have dipped into Eastern Palace, and we could get a French vanilla bow in there.
Yeah, or we could, of course, get something out of Turtle Rock as well, which, you know, we can, except for Trinix, fault there as well.
So lots of checks in logic to where that bow could be. So this race may come down to whomever finds their first bow.
Yep. And there is a question here in chat where the boots were. We found them in Pod. It was in the Hermless Hellway. As this is, of course, an Ambrosia seed, so we knew it was going to be in Pod since the very start.
As we see ObscureLifeForm dashing through those crickets. There's an infestation here in Thieves Town of those crickies. They're not fun.
Yeah, they do a lot of damage. You don't think they would, because like they're small and like look kind of harmless, but those hit like a truck. That said, the boots make those rooms, those hallways, a lot easier to navigate because you can just dash through those things.
Yep, and then when you get into that small room with the crickets, you can just hook shot them and they go boom.
And unlike ObscureLifeForm, Tso is not doing is not following the key logic here. It's gonna pick up those small keys. So that was that vanilla big key chest there on that balcony was a key for a key, and the arena chest also had to have a key.
Yeah, pod key logic is a little tough to follow sometimes, especially if you are stressed and in a race.
Yeah.
So very understandable that you could go ahead and check those as a just in case.
Yeah, it's because the big key was in this chest that Tso just opened, and I think it was like a heart or something in the like that western room that you go from the entrance into. Those two were like the two only locations that could have not been small key.
As we see Tso setting up for the hammer jump, using those menu buffers very well. As we see ObscureLifeForm going ahead with their blind fight, taking a little bit of damage, but still staying relatively on script.
Yeah. And now both of our runners are evened out in terms of which bosses they have defeated. That said, Tso is probably going to go into the back of Palace of Darkness, like the very far back of Palace of Darkness there, and kill the boss, and then hand in the green pendant, because that's 2 additional item checks.
Actually, ObscureLifeForm is pulled ahead with crystals, having completed Desert Palace.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. I totally forgot about that. Yeah. Oops.
As we see the bottle boy just giving you a little piece of love for showing him a bottle. Alright, it'll be interesting to see what Obscure Lifeform does from here. Probably the Bonk Rocks and King's Tomb checks from picking up those boots out of logic.
Yeah.
I would say these might necessarily not be bow, but having...
We're also going to get a Lumberjack check. With the boots make this a bit easier because you can just dash up most of this path here.
And I was going to say, we may not find bow in these boots checks, but we are in version 31, which means we have progressive bows.
Yeah. It is very possible that one of the bows is bow-locked. And Tso is actually making a dip into Eastern Palace. We have not seen that from ObscureLifeForm just yet. Who has put off this check in lieu of a bow?
It makes sense. You're right there from pod. When you mirror out, you just kind of walk up. You know these checks are relatively quick. If you find 2 items, you just dip right on out.
Mm-hmm.
And with that lamp, you're going to know all of this is now back in logic. So if there is something in that dark room, you're going to be able to get it, and it will help progressing you forward with the logic.
Alright, so both Bonk Rocks and King's Tomb were a bust. So I think ObscureLifeForm is probably going to go back to the Village of Outcasts and is going to make those South Dark World. Or maybe not. Maybe he's going to dip Ice Palace? Or Hobo? Or...
Ice Palace for Obscure Lifeform is fully completable with the hammer, hookshot, and bombos.
Yeah, and we have a Kano Sumaria as well, so, like... Of course, the Ice Palace bomb jump, like, doesn't make it necessary, but, like, logically speaking, if there is a small key on Cold Stare... Cold Stare... Oh, yeah, that's right, because it's Ambrosia. There is an item on Cold Stare. So it can't be a small key there. Duh. I totally... Man, Ambrosia is just completely melting my brain.
Yeah, it's for someone just looking at it who's a veteran of Link to the Past Randomizer, you go, oh, standard open, okay. Oh, I know where the boots are going to be. Oh, all the bosses have items. This should be easy to... Ooh, there's our bow.
Well, that is very good for both runners, actually, because Tso also is making the dip into Ice Palace here.
And that's just going to put Tso an ice rod away from go mode.
Yeah. Meanwhile, ObscureLifeForm still will have to pull that fire rod out of Bomba's tablet.
Yeah, it's interesting that he decided to do this first instead of the Smith chain. That's 1, 2, 3, 4... That's at least 8 checks he can make with having Titan's Mitts, the Mirror, and Hammer.
Yeah, but Ice Palace is a crystal dungeon. You can clear it now. You have to clear it anyway. You know that one of the items is going to be on the boss that you have to do anyway. So that's only 2 items that you can find. And we already pulled one of them, so, you know.
Yeah, it's not a bad play. Just...
As opposed to Overworld, which is something that may or may not, you know? That's always the problem with, like, Overworld checks when you have crystal dungeons to clear. It's like, the decision, do I do Overworld, which, you know, might not yield anything at all? Or do I do a crystal dungeon that I can clear now, but may end up full clearing for, like, little gain?
Yeah,
I mean, in this case it was high gain, you know? We got a bow, regardless. But, yeah.
It's just a difference of which dungeons do you feel most comfortable go-moding. And Ice Palace is one of those that, if you can go mode, you save yourself a ton of time. But again, as I said, it's not a bad play to go ahead and do this. As you said, it is a crystal. It's fully clearable for you. It's not a bad play.
Yeah. Also, of course, to notice that we're still on the Ice Rod hunt. And Tso is also full clearing this. So, you know, it doesn't make much of a difference in that regard. And Obscure Lifeform does not have to double dip Eastern, which Tso has done.
It'll be very interesting as to where that ice rod's at. There is our big key here in Ice Palace. I'm just going to start calling that Icebreaker Room.
Well, it's also the vanilla big key room, so, you know.
Just a map. We're still looking for that last item here in the front of Ice Palace, as we do know that Cold Stare is going to have an item for us.
According to our tracker, we already found the second item.
Yeah, I think the show picked it up from probably these Ice Boys that.
Oh
Obscure
yeah,
is killing.
the freezer chest here. That's fair. Yeah. Oh yeah, there it is. Okay. So now Obscure Lifeform also knows. Okay. I can do this.
Nice quick fight here from Tso with that tempered sword on our poor Cold Stare, and he picks up a bug net for his troubles.
Yeah, very important item, this bug net.
Alright, that leaves... If I'm Tso, I'm heading over to Desert Palace. You still gotta complete that. You can complete Skullwoods. You know where the second item is. It's gonna be on Mothula, since you did find the cape in the front. Tso doesn't know that, but we know where that's at.
Is opting actually to clear Eastern Palace first.
That also makes sense. Really, the only thing that's really hanging him down is that ice rod.
And we're gonna see hammer strats here from Obscure Lifeform on the other side. Because, of course, does not have the tempered sword, so we'll have to resolve either to Master Sword spins or that. And the hammer is a bit easier, I would say.
Yeah, with the hammer doing equivalent damage to a tempered sword, the only drawback is the hammer has a significantly less range to it, so you might get some hugs.
More so than the range, I would argue that the slight delay of the hammer hitbox coming out is the problem. Like the only kind of wonky hitbox of the hammer is the upwards hitbox. That one's kind of vertically very small. And it looks like Obscure Lifeform is following Tso's footsteps here. Is gonna clear Eastern Palace. Of course, on the other side, Obscure Lifeform will have to full clear it to at least find a big key and those two items.
It looks like the two items and the big key were right here up in front, which will be relatively quick to do.
Yeah.
You won't have to do the dark room, you won't have to get the big chest. So we see Tso progressing through the bottom of East Palace here. I always wondered who were shooting those cannonballs. Is that where all the cannon guards were hiding? You know, because you look at all the enemies in here, it's just, you know, walking skeletons, squid boys, mimics. As we get a nice fast strat here from Tso on the Armos.
Yeah, maybe that is where those missing cannon guards ended up being in those, because they aren't actually in the vanilla game at all. They can be appear in Randomizer, but in vanilla they do not appear at all. But yeah, that quick start on Armos is you stand in the top right corner, you shoot 5 arrows to the right, and then you go over to the left, and then you just spam down. That way, you kill one Armos, you hit another one twice, and then you just kill all the other Armos until that one that you hit twice is left. You hit the last shot, and then it's dead.
Yeah, you're able to do that before that last Armos can kind of transform himself give themselves a full heal, and you have to use 3 additional arrows to kill it.
Yeah.
As we see Tso going into desert to go ahead and complete it with those boots. We know Ice Rod isn't here, so we're going to continue on that hunt. We're running out of checks to do. We still do have Spike Cafe to do. We have Turtle Rock, which is up through Trinex, full clearable. Mimic Cave, Skull Woods, which for Tso is fully completable with that Fire Rod. We still have a Swamp Palace dip open to us.
Yeah, it could also be on Helmasaur or the Green Pendant.
And I just thought of something very terrible. What if Ice Rod is on our pedestal?
It's not on pedestal until it is on pedestal. It could also be in Pyramid Fairy, actually.
Yes, it can, because Skull Woods and Misery Mire are 5/6 crystals, which allow us to buy a big red bomb from an elephant kind of dude and blow up a wall near Ganon's home. As we see ObscureLifeForm going up the mountain. Looks like they're going to check Spike Cave and open that up to see what it is. Again, leaving those Smith checks to last, it looks like. We'll see if this is a big brain play. If ObscureLifeForm finds that Ice Rod inside of Spike Cave, they're going to be a little bit ahead once they do find that Fire Rod.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's not all that many more options left where that Fire Rod could be. Here's hoping that ObscureLifeForm is going to prioritize Overworld over Pendant Dungeons. At least Pendant Swamp, that is. Well, now.
That's going to help in the long run. With that red mail, you take a quarter of the damage you would normally take in having just green mail.
Yeah, and Tso has not gone to Pyramid Ledge yet to pick up that blue mail, so, you know, defensively speaking is... Oh no. Is ObscureLifeForm doing what I'm thinking what he's doing?
ObscureLifeForm has not done Hype Cave because they have yet to do any part of the Smith routing with South Dark World.
That is true.
So we'll see after Hype Cave if they decide to go south or north, or in this case, more west, I guess.
Yeah.
We know Hype Cave just has a red boomerang and lots of red rupees. As we see Tso heading into Skullwoods to go fight a Mothman. And that's going to put him 1 crystal ahead, but still on that Ice Rod hunt. You do have Book and Mirror. Do you do a sanity check with the pedestal here?
I mean, you may as well.
Alright, it looks like ObscureLifeForm's going to be doing all of these South Dark World checks here, starting at the south with Stumpy. He's going to find a book in K45, going to find that sword upgrade on the dig game.
I really hope for Obscure that before that they do Pommels Talent before going into Swamp Palace. Like that would be like the smartest play. If you have like the mirror, the book, and you know, are intending to go into Swamp Palace, you may as well pick up the Pommels Talent before you do, just in case that the thing you're looking for, you know, is there.
It would honestly depend. If I was him, I would have been completing Smith with this, and I would have picked up the tablet before I did that Swamp Palace dip. We'll see. Because it's still smart, even if you're not heading up into the Dark Village to get the Smith, to do dig game here, because it's right here.
Yeah.
But if you're making the travel all the way to the left, you might as well travel up as well, since you do have the Mirror and Titan Smiths. That's all so nicely looped together. it wouldn't make any sense that you wouldn't loop in the tablet with your chest. As we prepare for a Mothula fight here on Tso's side. Not much magic, but a temper sword. You've got 8 hearts and green mail. It shouldn't be too terribly bad. Nice RNG on the spikes.
Yeah, that was a really cooperative Mothula.
Just finding a piece of heart on the Mothman. So we know progression is not here in Skull Woods.
Indeed.
So that leaves our fairy fountain in the pyramid. That leaves Turtle Rock. And I think that's it outside of Pendant Dips.
Yeah. And as final thing here in this region, we are going to get our pet check here. Just Koch Cash. Of course.
All right.
Typical.
So now...
See, I told you, it's never pet until it...
So now the question becomes, if the Pyramid Fairy is empty, do you go into Turtle Rock without the Ice Rod, or do you go ahead and either complete Pod for that green pendant and the item on Helmosaur, or dip yourself the Swamp Palace?
I would probably do the Swamp play, because Swamp is just such a much higher density location. There's 6 items in there, and yeah, I mean, of course. And Tso has not done the front of Skullwoods yet, so finds their cape here real quick.
Yeah,
it's probably gonna do all those northern, like those flank sherry checks, both in the light and the dark world.
Yeah, he has yet to do Bonk Rocks and King's Tomb or Graveyard Ledge with the Bumper Cave. So yeah, this makes perfect sense. Mm-hmm. Nice little routing package here with that cape.
We'll also probably check the Lumbercheck Ledge here. Or maybe not. Well, maybe like it's the last bit.
There are so many checks he can make before he needs to go. Okay,
so this is smart from ObscureLifeForm. ObscureLifeForm knows with the book now Bomb's tablet is available. So takes that Dark World portal and is gonna mirror over and then come back.
So what was unfortunate about ObscureLifeForm's routing in with Spike Cave, he did not have the book at the time to check to see what the Ether tablet was.
Yeah, that is true. That is also an item that we might find yesterday. That would be kind of funny, both of the rods being on the tablets.
And Tso is just going to find 300 roops here on the Graveyard Ledge. Going to find a male upgrade in the King's Tomb. As we see ObscureLifeForm pick up their Fire Rod. And since ObscureLifeForm has already found that first item in Skullwoods, he's just going to go right to Mothula, probably do a sanity check with that pedestal check, and then figure out where he needs to go.
Yeah.
Of course, the show hasn't gone over to check Pyramid or Catfish, so...
I don't think the show has done Zora either.
He's picking up progress on checks that ObscureLifeForm has already had. That's going to close the gap here on crystals. And once that Mothula fight is done, and Tso is done with the pyramid, we're going to be on equal footing in this race.
Yeah, this is actually a race, you know? There are like very few locations that the other racers, like the races checked individually, that the other hasn't done yet. So for Tso, it would be like the Spy Cave check there, and of course the Zora area in the pyramid, and for ObscureLifeForm, it's basically Skull Woods.
Yeah, that divergence early that gave Tso a lot of progression with those with the hammer and flips. Ended up not being too advantageous for him.
Yeah, it's it always comes down to like that one bottleneck item, and if that bottleneck item is an ice rod or one of those medallions that you need for that last dungeon, it's always a pain.
So we see Tso here picking up the big red bomb, going to loop in the pyramid check as well with the fountain fairy that's inside of Ganon's home. As we see a Mothman fight again. Very
Also,
generous spikes again.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty well. Now it's hugging the top left corner there, but overall decent, I would say. Like this was not great RNG on the moth patterns there, but it was okay.
Yeah, it's just the worst when you got two spikes coming over from one side, Mothman hides in a corner, and another one comes out, and you're just like, get out of there!
Yeah, so it always kind of sucks when Mothula hugs like the top corners.
And that is the 6th crystal for ObscureLifeForm. That's going to allow them to get the big red bomb for the fountain fairy and the pyramid, as Tso picks up his male upgrade.
So the question is now, is ObscureLifeForm gonna gamble on it being in Turtle Rock, or on the Pyramid? Well, Pyramid Fairy is probably the next thing here.
As we saw, Pyramid Fairy is a bust. So we're down to Pendant Dips, or Turtle Rock, or that Ether Tablet.
It looks like Tso is gonna make the dip into Turtle Rock. Of course, combined with Mimic Cave and Ether Tablet, there is in total 6 items that can be found here, where the Ice Rod could be here. Of course, one we know is guaranteed to be in Tranix, so that can't be the Ice Rod.
But you could say the same thing about Swamp Palace. You know there's an item on the boss. Oof! As ObscureLifeForm missed the bomb skip. Gonna have to pay up another 100 rupees to get another bomb.
Nah, we got the money. No problem. Supply the bomb industry here in the Dark World, and we found a 3rd bottle here on the Ether Tablet. It's blue. It's kind of cool, but it's not the Ice Rod.
As we see Tso opening up their Spike Cafe, that's going to be a mail for them as well. So we're going to have runners with equal mail, equal hearts, equal sword, equal bow.
Equal item loadout. Except for that one bottle, I guess. I mean, do you really count that bottle, though? I wouldn't.
Yeah, once you kind of have 2, you're kind of happy with your safeties. Anything else is just surplus. Alright, we're going to see what ObscureLifeForm chooses to do here. Pulling out a mirror.
So that means Swamp might not be the play for them?
Yeah, you're either fluting up to the mountain or you're fluting to Swamp Palace.
And it looks like ObscureLifeForm is making the same play as Tso. So Tso is a little bit ahead now. I assume that ObscureLifeForm is going to check the Ether Tablet on the way as well real quick. And then we'll also take the dive into Turtle Rock.
Again, not a bad play. If you find it in Turtle Rock, you're right there next to Ganon's tower. It's a hop, skip, and a jump away from getting out of the seed.
Yeah. Yeah, so Tso is going to be a little bit in the lead, but of course, if the Ice Rod is not in there...
We're going to actually be really close here, because ObscureLifeForm can just take that hammer and skip on over to the portal from the Light World.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, Tso has never done the Dark... Oh, has done the Dark Death Mountain checks. That was... Oh, yeah, but not Spike... Oh, right. Oh, haha! Yeah, it was Spike Cave that led Tso to run that way. Interesting, yeah. Okay, so this is basically tied up now. Except for that one bedrock being a troll. Wow.
It's been an amazing race so far. There's going to be about 25 seconds in between everyone.
Yeah, this was a pretty divergent race, but then, I saw it funneled everything back into
Yeah, we had
things.
that divergence right after East Death Mountain in Light World. Putting Tso into the Dark Village, ObscureLifeForm decided to go ahead and do Mire area, and then we converged back into Ice Palace.
So Obscure Lifeform and Tso are like roughly 12 seconds apart entering Turtle Rock here.
That's amazing.
So the question is, if it's not here, it has to be in Swamp Palace or in Pod, in those two boss checks, essentially. Where would you go first? I would probably go for Swamp first, but,
I've already full cleared Pod. I know there's an item on Helmasaur and an item on the Green Pendant. There's more density through Swamp Palace, but it will take me longer to go through that than killing Helmasaur. I would do the Green Pendant first.
Interesting.
Just simply because it's 5 rooms, 6 rooms to get to Helmasaur, versus you have to go to Light World, or go to Dark World Mirror, drain the dam, get the key in the first chest, get the second chest if it's not Ice Rod, you go further in.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotcha. I guess in terms of like efficiency for getting those up to 6 checks.
Because at this point you're either I'm going for efficiency, or I'm going for, okay, this is on the pendant, and if I do this, I hope that my opponent goes for Swamp Palace.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just a gut call. In the race I did last week, I had a gut call to where I needed to find my glove progression, and I ended up finding it. Just sometimes you get that little twinge in your head or in your gut, and you go, "No, this is where I need to go," and it works out well for you.
Yeah, of course we are going to see a full clear of Turtle Rock before any of these things might come into play. So we might end up finding the Ice Rod anyway.
As we see bunny sprites on both sides, we had a pug dressed up in rabbit ears, and we had a fox with some cool shades.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't get the quote-unquote God Turtle Rock, where you can steal a key, have the big key right there for you. So, routing not super optimized for you, but we're full clearing anyway.
Yeah, we that would have only really made a difference if one of the runners opted to do the pendant dungeons first and find the ice there. But since both of them are full clearing Turtle Rock anyway, it doesn't really matter.
We're gonna get a peek here into Mimic Cave here in a second. I love when races come down to how well do you do your Ganon Tower.
And with a little bit of better execution, ObscureLifeForm actually caught up a little bit to show going for Turtle Rock here. It's still, like, not that far apart. Oh, well, hello there.
And at 119, 121.42, Tso is our first player to enter Go Mode, and we got Go Mode at 121.59 for ObscureLifeForm. And we are down to how well do you execute?
Yeah, and we also just need, after defeating Trinix, you just gotta walk over, and we're already in GT, you know?
This seed was super generous with no matter how you decided to route it, you would find all of your items relatively quickly. Because we didn't even need to do the Hera check. Because Hera was completely a bust.
Yeah, the only pendant dungeon that had anything was Pod.
For those boots, which we needed for desert.
Indeedly.
Which, honestly, I mean, the boots could have been in a better place in Pod, but one real required pendant dip is pretty generous.
Yeah. And I mean, Hera, especially with Hera Pot, isn't too bad either. So, you know, whatever.
We're gonna try and find where this small key is at. It's in the bottom right third check. No big deal to take a fall there for Tso. You've got red mail, you've got a tempered sword, you've got safeties. You're good, especially since he picked up that blue goo from the ether tablet.
Yeah.
Alright, we're gonna see a quick Trinus fight here. You go over to the left, hit it with ice, swing 3 times, hit it with ice again. Switch over to your fire rod, swing twice, head's dead. Wash, rinse, repeat.
Unless you miss a shot, of course.
It happens to the best of us. That hitbox on the head can be a little bit tricky.
Especially because they keep moving. Those annoying jerks.
Unfortunately, neither player able to hit that 0 cycle, but that's all RNG. Sometimes an ice guy just likes to spit it out real quick.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be awesome if this was Silver's?
Alright. So, Tso picks up their last crystal at 124.40. You know what we're gonna do now?
I think there's a little game we play.
Yeah. There is. You see a lot of numbers there in chat. And those numbers indicate 1 out of 22 locations in which the big key for Ganon's tower that we need to get up the tower is hiding. And we like to, here in the random community, we like to guess where it is. Maybe where do you think it is?
Well, normally I go with 14 for my favorite baseball player of all time, Paul Konerko. But in honor of Tso, I'm going with 15.
Oh.
Since he is the first one to enter into GT, though ObscureLifeForm is not very far behind.
Yeah, they picked up the crystal basically exactly the same amount of time that they entered Turtle Rock in, which is about 12 seconds. So apart. So this is gonna come down to big key routing. That said, even if ObscureLifeForm finds the big key first, we are going to go with Tso's screen here.
Yep. So that's 2 checks so far. It looks like both players are going the same routing anyway.
Yeah, I think ObscureLifeForm pulled up the mirror there for a second. I think they were thinking about it, but decided not to.
So after this Stalfo switch room, we're going to be entering into the compass room. That gives us 4 checks. Number 3, 4, 5, and 6. So come along at home with us. 3, 4, 5, and number 6. So our big key is going to be over on the left-hand side, unless it is in our tile room.
Yep. So we're gonna come up on number 7 here, which is gonna be the torch.
Bob's torch? Bob's gonna live! If you don't know, if you leave that torch item up there, you get a special sprite for our Bob anti-fairy just before our Ice Armos fight.
Yeah, that's a random specific glitch that the devs haven't really figured out. Well, I was one off.
There is our big key in the bottom left of Dark Magician, number 8. So if you guessed a lucky number 8 in our big key guessing game, you win points, which get you this wonderful Marvel prize pack of nothingness, signed by Mr. Stan Lee, signed on nothing.
Wow, how is Stan Lee signing that out of Nirvana.
I mean, it's on nothing, so his signature literally is non-existent.
Okay, fair enough. That said, Tepidino, who is on Tso's opposing team, if I remember right, is the one to take 8.
Well, congratulations on your points, as our 2 runners are essentially a room apart. This may come...
okay. Tepidino is on the same team as Tso, which means that, of course, this big guessing game was rigged. But alright,
so this all may come down to who does their Land Mola fight better.
Yeah, this is gonna come down to execution and
a Moldorm bonk off the bridge.
Yeah.
You know, a missed cycle on Aga 2. And you know both of these runners making this climb are looking at that SRL chat going, okay, looking for that dot done. Am I still ahead? Oh no!
Yeah.
As we see ObscureLifeForm having a little bit of trouble with this conveyor belt room with the red horses.
This is probably the nastiest gauntlet room, I would argue.
Oh, and Tso doing an excellent Land Molas 2. Had a chance at a 2 cycle. Just one more swing should do it, though. Was able to get 2 of those heads down on the first cycle. ObscureLifeForm, not able to do that, but he was able to put in a good amount of damage on these Land Molas. Should be able to get a 3 cycle here. Oh, a short jump.
That is mean.
Up. Tso missing the second Wizrose room. Gonna have to make a 3rd attempt at this.
This is, of course, like, basically gives ObscureLifeForm some time to catch up to Tso here for having a bit of trouble with the Lanmo fight. Man, this is a butt clencher.
Oh yeah. Oh, and ObscureLifeForm able to get that 1 cycle on Wizropes 2. That's gonna close off about 7.
Oh no! But those Minotaurs bullied him off the bridge there.
Those mini pigs are not fun sometimes. Oof, that's tough.
Yeah, that was a pretty bad pattern on that front. So yeah, this is still edge of the seat here.
Yeah, it takes 1 missed Aga 2 cycle. It takes 1 bonk from Moldorm 2. It takes a bonk off a ledge from Ganon, and all of a sudden, this is a completely different race.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see if ObscureLifeForm... Ooh, he's looking for those silvers. Gets a refill as well. Ooh, there's our Moldorm bonk! Oh no!
Oh.
Poor Tso! Oh no!
This gives ObscureLifeForm very good opportunity to catch up here. It's still a little behind, but not much. In fact, it's gonna skip the fairy refill chest here. So that is gonna all but tie them up here by just a few seconds. And ObscureLifeForm gets a much better Moldorm 2 pattern to deal with. So it's just a couple seconds behind. Man, this is so tense.
Our runners are approximately 9 seconds apart, ladies and gentlemen. As we prepare for this Aga 2 fight, don't forget to follow our runners who have shown off an impressive set of skills. Just hit that exclamation point R and you will find their Twitch channels. I do believe that was a double on Aga cycle number 1.
Oh, that is a nasty pattern there. Yeah,
I think that was a...
The show is about 1 cycle ahead of ObscureLifeForm, but ObscureLifeForm does get 1 hit in on that really nasty pattern. Oh, that was almost a triple. Yeah.
Oof. Missing that cycle. As Tso gets his wizard down.
But just like a couple seconds in. It's like so close now.
This is gonna be a spin away, a torch glitch miss away from our runners. As we see,
to show crashing into the pyramid at 1:33:10 is where Ganon slams into the pyramid here. 3 seconds later for ObscureLifeForm. Wow!
as we see both of our runners trying to make some bacon.
Man, if they keep like around the same timing here, we might actually end up with a tie.
Do you be aggressive and grab your cape, knowing you have a blue goo in your pocket, and just cheese Ganon? Setting up for the double spin strats, ObscureLifeForm, as we see Tso hit that third phase. It looks as though ObscureLifeForm's going to hit that third phase as well. This is basically torch glitch execution and spin strats on Ganon, ladies and gentlemen. Red mail tempered. You've got 15 hearts, as long as you don't get yourself bonked, as we see Swamp Palace having our other progressive bow, as Tso gets that torch glitch. 12 required spins on Ganon.
Yeah, this is gonna be spin execution, basically.
ObscureLifeForm gets that torch glitch, gets one spin, gets a second spin. I'm just gonna let these runners speak for themselves.
Yeah, this is really tight.
Oh, ObscureLifeForm missing one of the spins!
Yeah, ObscureLifeForm was trying for the triple hit there, but missed that one hit there. Man, this is so clutch.
As we see Tso taking down his Ganon fight. ObscureLifeForm not far behind. Tso's got the hardest enemy in the game, a 1x3 staircase to cross before he's able to complete the seed. And with that, he has finished the seed. ObscureLifeForm with a swing or two left. Oh, and he completes Ganon, but it's not going to be with enough time to get that tie. Oh my goodness.
That was tense. My butt is hurting from all the clenching here. Wow. Congratulations to Tso on Shovel is True Go Mode getting their second win here in the league.
And hard luck for ObscureLifeForm and the Noble Foxes. Performed excellently, just coming up seconds short on getting the win.
And the official SRL times are 1 hour, 35 minutes, 18 seconds, and 1 hour, 35 minutes, 38 seconds, respectively.
Oh man, that's tough. Oh. And I do see we have our runners here for an interview post-race on what was a heart attack-inducing race. Gentlemen, what an excellent show.
GG's to both of you. Yeah, that was really intense.
No, GG's. GG's, man. That was so good. I was so excited. Like when I saw you there, I was, of course, upset and gutted, but like, wow, I can't wait to watch this one back.
Yeah, I was climbing GT waiting for Obscure snipe me until when I finished Gano. I keep looking at the
So you
IRC
guys entered Turtle Rock 12 seconds apart. You guys left Turtle Rock 12 seconds apart. You guys entered GT 3 seconds apart. Or entered Ganon fight 3 seconds apart.
Yeah. Wow. That was crazy.
It's just unbelievable. I mean, like, yeah, okay, like we're all here to win, but at the end of the day, it's as much as a show as much as a game. So the fact that it was that close is just unbelievable, really.
Yeah, it was very exciting. And in the end, it also you want to win, but what you want more is doing a fun race, you know.
And that's what I say.
Yeah,
I say that when I go on commentary. I don't want either of these runners to lose. Unfortunately, one of them most likely has to win.
Yeah, exactly. I came to the league to have fun, to have close matches, to have a great time. So I'm glad that at least once I could give a nice race to you guys to watch.
Yeah, thank you very much, both of you, for that excellent race. That was clutch down the entire rope here, and congratulations on the win as well to show, right?
Yeah. So. yeah, the sound is pretty hard to English speakers to pronounce, so that's okay.
So we really only had one real divergence between you guys running. To show once getting done with Eastern Death Mountain decided to hit the Dark Village and Thieves Town, Obscure deciding to go ahead and check the flutes with Meyer and doing their Meyer early. We didn't see you guys converge back until both of you found the bow in Ice Palace. And I just found it real interesting that in the end, that ice rod hunt just put both of you guys together essentially on the same path.
Yeah, it was pretty inevitably because of the location of the ice rod. But funny thing is that as soon as I left them, found in the the 3 medallions, I knew it was going to be a nice rod hunt. I was just hoping for the seed to not do this to us, but oh well, that happened.
Yeah, we saw those 3 medallions early on, and we're like, well, we don't have to check any of that early on. And to show when you went to go do a hookshot cave, you went up real quick and went down. Oh yeah, I've got all 3.
Yeah.
I think I've done the same, actually. It's just muscle memory.
So, how worried were you guys when you were doing that ice rod hunt, looking at the pendant dungeon layouts and what your inventory were, with that possibly being on the pedestal?
Go on.
Go. You can go.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I wasn't very worried of pedestal because we had the books, so I had still to do school woods, so I could have checked it on the way, and I never deep it swamp. But I was worried being on Helma because on my head, the beginning of my route through Village of Outcasts and going south, I was looking for doing ice and then going to pot. But I can't remember what exactly I found. I think it was the fire rod on the tablet.
Yeah, so you found...
I was, okay, I have a fire source. I can go do Meyer and check desert if it's boots locked. And so since I had to flute, anyways, I thought to myself, oh well, I'm gonna go to pod, check where is my boots. And then I found the bow on the first chest in ice. I was crap. if ice rod was on Helma, I'm screwed.
Yeah, both of you guys ended up using the Mimic Clip glitch to get access to your boots. As I said, both of you guys were in Ice Palace essentially at the same time. Obscure, you were a little bit ahead, but both of you were full clearing Ice Palace to find that ice rod. And it just, as I said, that routing just... You guys diverged so much and just ended up kind of spiraling together at that end to make a nice little braided knot of routing everything almost perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what you kind of want from a race anyway. Like, you want the divergence, and I mean, like we're saying, like, we're going out here. We're here to win, but we're here to have fun as well. And I just kind of took a bit of a weird route. I mean, it wasn't standard at all. Like, I didn't check like Village of Outcasts till like almost an hour, and then like all the Grove and Hype Cave was over an hour, like almost an hour and 10 minutes, I think it was. when I was checking Hype Cave, and I was just kind of like, you know what, let's just have a bit of fun. And then when I found that ice rod in Mimic Cave, I was like, well, I don't have much left. I mean, this is going to be a super close race because most likely we're going to clear all our dungeons and be like, well, do I want to die of Pendant Swamp, or do I just want to go to Turtle Rock and hope the ice rod's in there? So when I found it, I was like, I need to get a move on because I have no time to waste right now.
Yeah, both of you guys went up, making that climb. Obscure, you ended up doing Spike Cave a little bit earlier than what Tso did, but as I said, you guys entered in Turtle Rock about 12 seconds apart. So as soon as we saw that, this is going to be an exciting race. This is going to be, if they find Ice Rod inside Turtle Rock, it's going to be Ganon execution. Do you diverge on your path to find the big key? Is there a Moldorm bonk, which is what we got from the Tso's side, and we're getting excited, not happy that you fell, but we're going, this is going to be super close. So outside of that, I think that's about what we have for our interview time here with this race. Gentlemen, thank you very much for putting on an excellent show of skill and grace and just absolute fun with this seed. Good luck to you guys in the future with your future races in the league. And hopefully, Noble Foxes, you guys have been playing real great. I want you guys to get off the schneid there.
Oh, thanks a lot. Yeah, I mean, we haven't had the best start, but you know what? There's still plenty of games to go, and we've got lots of people to go against. So, you know, we're there. We're here to have fun. Like I said, we're here to have fun. So let's see what happens.
Same thing goes for Shovel is a True Go Mode and yourself, so good luck. Wish the best for you in all of your races.
Thank you. Thank you guys for putting up the league for us to have some fun. GG's.
Yeah, and thanks for comms and tracks and for setting this whole thing up.
Yeah, of course. Thank you both for running this very exciting, intense race for us. And also, thank you to Oro, our tracker for today, the true unsung heroes of Rando. Everybody's going to be mad when they miss something, but nobody's appreciating them for their great work. So I'm going to do that here. We don't have a lot of time left. So because in about like 15 minutes or so, a new race is going to start, like right here, as we are. So, you know.
Yeah, if you like Link to the Past Randomizer races, Speed Gaming channel and a Link to the Past Race League channels are going to have your fix for you. We have races every single day throughout the week. There's 64 teams, 2 runners per. That's 128 races every single week. So check out the schedule on the ALTTPR league.com. You'll see the schedule there. Check it out. For myself and Mr. Red here for Speed Gaming and Oro, we thank you very much for joining us this evening. You guys have a very good night.
Yep. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you around. Bye-bye.